All right, guys, we're back here on Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel. Max Barr is here. A
Let's go.
5-game SEC slate to talk about from Tuesday night. Just as you somewhat predicted, Max, we talked about all the 1.5 to 2.5 point spreads in this. And you said, you know it's going to happen. We're not going to get all these close games. We're going to get some of these games that are just kind of like in the middle. You're going to get one game to the extreme, which was not the game we thought it would be. And yeah, that's what happened in what was a very noteworthy slate of games on Tuesday in SEC basketball. We're going to get to all that here in just a second. You guys jump on in the chat, share your thoughts on what you saw. We're going to get some words from John Calipari, Mark Byington. A few clips to play here in just a bit. Yeah. Ice storm. Snowpocalypse on the way, Max. One of the two in Nashville. Don't know which one. I know which one I'd prefer. Not the ice storm. But yes, it's going to be very interesting. So,
we've got a Holly says I'm fired up this morning. I am, because that was an incredible slate of games. And like Brett says as well, there's something else that needs to be discussed. It's a great day in SEC news, SEC hoops. There's a lot to discuss here, folks. We're in for a show.
Yeah, we got to discuss a certain situation going on in Alabama. So now hold on a second. Let's hold on just 1 second, all right? So we ain't seen Josh in a while. Josh is back to talk about the Commodores running them down after the 25-point road loss. Guess who else is back? Ozzy's back. Was being nice to us the one day after the power rankings, but came back just to let us know that 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, the Vanderbilt Commodores, who were rated number 1, complete frauds. I'm just kidding. We're having fun with you guys. Arkansas took it to the Commodores last night by 25, 93-68. Arkansas came out, absolutely walloped them right from the tip. Like, Arkansas controlled this game
quick
from the tip. And yeah, I mean, that was pretty much the story here. Arkansas was the aggressor right off the bat. They came out connected. We said this was one of those spots where if you looked at Arkansas's trends this year, man, I mean, you just knew they were going to bounce back. Now, did you know they were going to bounce back by 25? Maybe not. I don't know how many people were predicting a 25-point victory, but the Hawks got it. And you know what? Like we say, that really helps you when it comes to the analytics and your seeding and all that kind of stuff, because what did it wind up being? Was it 1.5? Was Arkansas a 1.5 point favorite?
I believe so, yes.
Actually, you know what? When I made my bet, they were 1.5 point underdog. I took Arkansas money line. They were 1.5 point underdog. So got a little decent value there, I think, on that at our friends at FanDuel. But yeah, Arkansas jumped up, so now they're top 20 in the net. They moved up 4 spots. And yeah, I mean, that's their 4th quad 1 win now, and just doing it in impressive fashion.
I will get into this game, but first I want to have you guys listen to Cal's little clip from Cal here, just talking about kind of the start, kind of their mindset on the start of this game, and then a little bit behind the lineup decisions as well.
Has this team kind of responded to playing in front
Crowd's been great. It's been really good. And we need it every game, because every game is going to be a tough game. We kind of got after these guys those first 5 minutes, just like Georgia did to us the first 5 minutes. And just like Auburn did to us the first 5 minutes. So, you know, I changed the lineup, but I didn't do it for that reason. I did it because I needed to get Carter going and I needed to get DJ going, and they were for different reasons. And I wasn't sure that Malik Thomas, because his hand was his hand was swelled. I didn't think he would play, but he wanted to start so bad, he was playing.
Were you aware of this? Were you aware of Malik Thomas almost not playing due to hand swelling?
He wasn't on the injury report, right?
I was not aware of that, but I thought the game was over quick. Arkansas just came out, guns blazing, and I loved those lineup changes. Hogs fans, let us know in the chat, what did you think about the the lineup changes. I thought they were great, calling for him for a little while now. You're able to bring DJ Wagner off the bench, which not only helps him have a little bit less offensive pressure, Blake, but he's not playing next to Acuff. Now he's Acuff's spell, playing the true point guard instead of playing off ball. I loved that decision to help DJ Wagner get going a little bit. And then same with Carter Knox. Cal went on to say that, he still thought that Carter maybe took a few threes that he shouldn't have, and was just like, get downhill, defense, rebounding, do what you do, be Carter Knox. And I thought that was the best I'd seen Arkansas play all year. I'll be honest. I thought that was the best they play all year.
Oh, I think it was their best. No, yeah, from start to finish, I thought it was their best performance of the season.
Yep.
And look, you can say, oh, well, we beat Jackson State by, whatever, 50-something, but that we're not counting that one. But like against a quality team, there's no question that's their best overall performance of the season. Because one of the things too is like, I thought from the tip, it wasn't just about them kind of attacking offensively. It was about defensively. They were bought in. Like there were a little bit of energy there on the defensive side, and that's the thing, right? Like I'm sure he said it. It's like, hey, look at your defensive performance at Georgia. Look at your defensive performance at Auburn. And now, I mean, even to a certain extent, like I feel like that second half against Ole Miss left a little bit to be desired. They won that game. But like, hey, if we're going to be a team that can get to the Final Four, be a team that advances beyond the second weekend, we got to be bought in defensively every night, every time we go out there, not just in home games. It's good to have it last night, but right, that's going to be the thing he's looking at going forward. He's already circling at Oklahoma next Tuesday. Are we going to go out and give up 90 against what is still a pretty good offensive team, even though it may be the worst team in the SEC right now? So, like, I think that's the thing. And so to get that performance, you bounce back from the Georgia game, you come out, like you said, I think their best complete performance of the season. That's something you can build on. And, I mean, again, I think it's one of those where you kind of, whether it's DJ Wagner, we've talked about kind of the trajectory of Malik Euan now this season. I mean, think about the conversations we're having about him. Throughout November, we're just kind of like, he had that big pop-up game here or there, but that was kind of the outlier. It wasn't really the consistency. But now the guy scored in double figures in 4 straight games, 7 of the last 8, and he's looking more like the guy that at Florida State we said when he came in, we're like, man, this could be a really significant addition for Arkansas, and now it's proving to be the case because, I'm not saying they lose the game without him last night, right? But if you talk about some of the contributions he's made in these games, he's been a significant part of this, and I think that's going to continue to be a storyline moving forward too. It's just what you get night in and night out with Malik Euan. And look, matchup-wise, we always say it's about matchups, it's about the spot, all those things. We said, hated the spot for Vanderbilt, and didn't really love the matchup when you just looked at kind of having to go on the road, play a team that if you did get that out of Malik Euan, knowing again how Arkansas was going to attack you, and if they just put it together defensively, man, it was a recipe for disaster for the Commodores.
Yeah, this was a game of responses, Blake. Both teams just 3 days ago, well, 4, but Saturday, played tough, physical, high possession games. And that was a question in our preview. What's Vandy's legs going to be like going into Bud Walton with just 1 day of practice after you just played Texas and Florida? What's Arkansas going to be like after you just played 83 possessions, the most you've played all season at the Stag in that loss to Georgia? And make no question about it, Arkansas responds in a big way. Byington, on the other hand, was not happy with his team's focus, their effort. He said that this was the first game he felt like they didn't fight. He said, like, because if you listen to Mark Byington's post-game press conference after Texas, it was kind of unique. 16-point loss, but coach comes out and is like, I really didn't think we played that bad. I'm tipping my hat to Texas. Mark Byington comes out last night and was probably the most pissed I've seen him, honestly, probably since he got the job. This was a not happy Mark Byington, and he gets asked about the rebounding here as the last question of the press conference. Last question of Mark Byington's sit down was asked about rebounding.
Margin was 12 tonight, and how much has that maybe been an issue for these last 3 games?
Yeah, right now we suck at rebounding, and we've addressed it. We have guys not competing. We have guys not hitting. We've played some bigger teams, more physical teams. We also out-rebounded some teams earlier that were bigger and more physical. But there's a lot of things we got to address. And right now, first off, being ready to compete's number one. Rebound has been an issue. And thank goodness we actually got a couple days. I think this was 3 games in 7 days. And we need kind of a time to reset ourselves. And we got to go on the road again. And it's quad 1 games after quad 1 games, and the SEC is what it is. You got to play really good teams and the road environments, everything else. And so we got to get better. We're better than this. We got to get better, and I'm glad we get a chance to get back and work on things.
We suck at rebounding. We suck at rebounding. Direct quote from Mark Byington.
So you're telling me an SEC coach just called out his team? Well, get your bets in now. Bet responsibly at FanDuel. Yeah, I mean, it is, he said it kind of is what it is at this point. Like, I mean, there's no telling how many times we've probably been asked the question or talked about it over the past couple of weeks. It's like, well, Vanderbilt lost a game. Are they done? Like, I don't think this was that unpredictable. The outcome of this game in terms of a 25-point deficit, that was. But the fact that they've lost 3 in a row, I don't think is that unpredictable, just based on what we said. 2 things can be true at one time, right? Vanderbilt was not a fraud at 16-0. It's just silly to consider that. But once you look beyond that and you started to see how things were matching up both from a basketball standpoint and a scheduling standpoint, this was a brutal stretch for them, and they did not perform well overall. It's like if you had to give them a grade out of these 3 games right here, it's going to be below a C, even though the Florida game, we said coming out of that one, how can you feel that bad about Vanderbilt when they lost to Florida by 4 in what was an excellent game, looked like the top 2 teams in the SEC playing out there. But then you have to go on the road at Arkansas. And look, he brings up the point, right? Remember, wasn't he the one talking about coming off of like the Wednesday game and having to turn around and play the early one on Saturday, and then you kind of keep going? Then you got to turn around and play the Tuesday game, right? So he talked about that. I'm sure coaches, Cal used to bring that up all the time at Kentucky, talking about the scheduling. It seemed like Kentucky used to play Thursday, Saturdays when the SEC was still doing Thursday games and all that. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's just kind of what it comes down to. They are not real good right now. And, I think, what was it? I think Word Up Ninja, I had this somewhere. Where was it? The mental part of this. Right. I mean, I think that's absolutely part of it right now. You're talking about a team that started 16-0, had faced some adversity. You bring up the Memphis game and that kind of stuff. But, they've not been in this spot before. And so how do you respond? And so far, the response has not been great. They played some really good teams in this stretch. But now it's like you go to Mississippi State on Saturday, and who knows what happens with Mississippi State tonight. But hey, that's the kind of game where if you're talking about mental edge and all that, if you come out and get beat at Mississippi State on Saturday, and let's say you just don't play well, then I think you are having a significant discussion about Vanderbilt. But even after this, I still think you're looking at it and saying, road losses at Texas and Arkansas, lose by 4 at home to Florida. I mean, they're not they're not the front runner for the SEC or anything anymore. I think Florida's a clear team like that. But, we've also seen other teams in the SEC go on the road and just get walloped too. But they got to rebound better. They got to figure some things out, and we'll see again on Saturday how they respond. So,
yeah, like we've said with Vanderbilt, you had to judge what the product was to that point. And like Byington said, they had played some physical teams and out-rebounded them. UCF is one of the more physical teams in the Big 12, and they held their own there. SMU's got plenty of size. They held their own there. St. Mary's, they broke records against St. Mary's, who's got some size. And then, hey, I mean, let's be honest. They just came a Xavier Lee step-back 3. Heck of a play by Xavier Lee. But a Xavier Lee step-back 3 away from beating Florida. on their home court. I think right now, Byington, he identified the problems. We suck at rebounding. They're one of the worst rebounding teams in the league. And they've lost that edge. I think Frankie Collins' injury is also a much bigger deal than people are letting on. His assist rate, would be one of the highest in the SEC, and his steal rate would be one of the highest in the SEC. His number one player comp on KenPom is Lamont Butler. I'm not saying they're literally missing Lamont Butler out there, but they're missing their best perimeter defender. And when Duke Miles gets into foul trouble almost every game, that's a big missing piece there. So for me, for Vanderbilt, do I think they're, the top 5 team that they were analytically 2 weeks ago? Probably not. I think more 15-ish is right for them. Going to be a really tough team to beat at Memorial Gym. They're about to get healthy. They're about to reset here and take some time off. But I do think that rebounding issue, we haven't heard many coaches come out and just flat out say, my team sucks at this category. You don't hear that very much, and let's see how they respond to the challenge.
But the coaches that have said that, their teams have usually come out and responded the next game. So that is the big test, I think, for them. So
you got to give the credit to Arkansas there, though.
Yeah, that's what, I know there's some people that like to antagonize us in the chat about Vanderbilt just because we ranked them at number 1 when they were 16-0. But, I mean, I think it's fair to just say sometimes why are we taking the credit away from Arkansas? Arkansas was fantastic. And I think right now, again, for Arkansas, they've just got to prove they can take this show on the road. A lot of the SEC teams have struggled to do that against top-tier teams. But they've got to, like we said a few minutes ago, if they can put together a consistent effort on the defensive side for me, more so than anything else, I don't have a lot of concerns about Arkansas offensively. They may have some games where they don't, whatever. But that's it. So, all right.
They're up to number 5 nationally in offensive efficiency.
Yeah. So they're a top 5 offensive team. And I always bring up the Alabama comparisons when Alabama made to the Final Four, and they were kind of the outlier because they were top whatever offensive team, sub 100 defensive team. Arkansas is still a top 50 defensive team if you look at the efficiency numbers, but it's just
it was down to 80 or 90.
I was going to say it jumped down, but now based on these South Carolina Vanderbilt games, they've jumped back up.
Yep.
So yeah, that's it. All right, Josh, going to get his shots in real quick. We haven't seen Josh in literally, it's been a week and a half, and he's just he picks his spots around here. The George Costanza, where you just come in and out at the right moment. Get your one-liners in, and you're out of here. No, we appreciate Josh. We appreciate all of our fine people here in the chat. And yeah, I think it was Chris earlier. Boogie Popcorn Flan. Think about that. How about that? Let me get there's some merch for you.
I think he went back for more after the game, too. He couldn't get enough.
A little bit more after the game. All right. Upcoming schedules real quickly for these two. Arkansas, I don't know how you could draw it up any better for the Hogs over the next little bit. They're home against LSU on Saturday. We'll see if that game's played. That's a story we're going to talk about at the end of this show. I'm not convinced all these games are going to get played this weekend, but we'll find out. Arkansas's at Oklahoma next Tuesday, home against Kentucky the next Saturday, the midweek off to go to Mississippi State after that, then they go to LSU. Listen, right now, those are the bottom 3 teams in our power rankings this week. Oklahoma, Mississippi State, LSU. Those are your next 3 road games. So that is where you really learn something about Arkansas. If you're going to figure this thing out on the road, you got to go win some of those games, if not all those games. So great chance to win the 2 home games against LSU and Kentucky. So Hogs aren't going anywhere in the SEC title race, but we probably already knew that. I don't think that should be a surprise. So
got to have that defense travel.
Yeah, that's it. So, all right. $5 super chat. Going to a deep dark hole after Saturday. Don't know what happened. Well, we won't revisit that. Okay, we'll let you.
Happens to the best of us, Josh. Happens to the best.
It happens.
It's a long season.
Vanderbilt's upcoming schedule, as we said, they're at Mississippi State on Saturday, home against Kentucky next Tuesday, then at Ole Miss the following Saturday. So it's kind of a tricky upcoming slate still for the Commodores. but they've got Oklahoma after that, a midweek off between those two games. So, yeah, I looked at KenPom. I think KenPom has Vanderbilt conference strength of schedule number 2. So, I mean, that's not ideal, right? So, Tennessee's at 1, by the way. Sorry, Josh. Yeah, so there's your upcoming slate for those two teams. All right, we're going to get to some other games here in a second. Before we do, let's tell you quickly about our friends over at Collar, AND, Collar.com. Head over there for the outstanding performance menswear they've got going. Polos, button-ups, quarter zips, pants, you name it. You may need to wear all of them together this weekend if you're in the South, or maybe trending north now. The snowpocalypse is upon us, and if you want to sit around and have a little stretch, you want to sit around and say, man, what I'm wearing is affordable, and if you want to sit around and say, damn, I look good, well, head over to Ann Collar. They've invented the work leisure. SEC16 for 16% off over there. Use that code SEC16 for 16% off. Stain resistant, comfort, wrinkle resistant, machine washable, lightweight. They got a great price. What else could you possibly want? SEC16 for 16% off. ANDcollar.com. All right. And ROKFORM, ROKFORM.com. The world's strongest magnetic phone case. Extreme protection. Super strong magnets. Rock lock. Secure mounting. Head over there for 25% off. SEC25, 25% off over at ROKFORM. Great cases, great accessories. They got all kinds of stuff. They got golf stuff over there. Although if you're golfing in this weather, I don't know what to tell you. But head over there. SEC25, 25% off over at ROKFORM. All right.
What's the temperature do we have in Nashville right now, Blake? What elements are you dealing with right now?
Well, listen, right now, it is the calm before the storm, quite literally. So, I mean, right now it's like, I don't know, upper 30s, low 40s, something like that. But what's happening is, this always happens in this part of the world, Max. You've got this line, and there is this line that's going to divide people in the South where it is either you're going to get a foot of snow or you're going to get ice. And let me tell you which one I'm rooting for. It ain't ice. Because I may be off the broadcast for a week if it's ice, and we got an ice storm here. So, yeah. No thank you.
I had a feels like 9 degrees day yesterday.
Well,
yeah.
That's going to be how it works here over the next probably week as Elijah says, ice storm very bad. We no part of this. But I'm telling you, do keep an eye. I know, Josh. I've been tapped into the models this morning. I have been watching.
Don't get started on his models.
Every update. Everything's trending north, which means all the snow's heading, back up to where it usually snows in Ohio, where Chris is at, and all that. Yeah. But we'll see. I'm telling you that there is a chance, I think, that some of these games this weekend are not going to be played. I think that's a realistic possibility.
That would be tragic.
I'd prepare for it because it's a realistic possibility. So some of these games aren't going to happen.
You know who's not cold, though? You know who's not cold? As Sean says, what a line here. Gator boys stay hot, though. No ice in Gainesville last night, Blake.
No ice in Gainesville. I don't think there's going to be any this weekend either. It may stay a balmy 95 in Florida for the rest of the year because the Gators get a 79-61 win over LSU. What the spread ended up being 16.5? What do you know? 18 right there on the money if you decided to go ahead. Florida was up 24 at one point. But, I mean, the biggest story, I think, overall in the game is that Deaton Thomas returned for LSU. Played 17 minutes in that one. We'll see kind of, again, how it's game one back. I'm not judging the guy off of one game. I think 1 of 8 from the floor. I'm just not going to read too much into it just yet. Tough spot, but for Florida, I'm telling you, I think we discussed this the other day. We had the discussions back in December about how Reuben Chinyelu, easily the defensive player of the year. Folks, I think it's time to start having other discussions about this guy.
Yes, it is.
He goes for 15 and 21 in this game. 21 rebounds, 11 offensive rebounds, and a 24 offensive rebound night for the Gators. Against a team that we thought could actually give Florida a little pushback based on some of the size that, you had with LSU, when you have a starting lineup of, 6'6", 6'6", 6'7", 6'9", 6'10", that didn't happen. Florida dominated the glass, and I mean, that was kind of the story. If they could hit a free throw, which remember, I keep saying it's eerily similar to last year. We were having the same discussions about Florida last year. Man, if they could just hit a free throw. And they went 14-27 from the line in this game. I'm not going to knock Reuben for that, though. Everything else he did made up for it. King Reuben has been officially entered into the royal family to join Sir Thomas Houck for the Florida Gators.
This guy's incredible. This guy's grabbing a rebound every 60 seconds he's out on the floor. Every other possession, he's either grabbing an offensive board or he's grabbing the defensive board. That's insane. He's got the 9th highest offensive rebounding rate in the nation and the 7th highest defensive rebounding rate in the nation. He's a top 10 offensive rebounder and a top 10 defensive rebounder. That is absurd. That's absurd. This guy is the best rebounder in the country. I think he's better than Tugler at rebounding. I think he's better than Clough from Purdue at rebounding. I think Reuben is the best rebounder in the nation. Just ridiculous. This is gonna be quite the jump, and I'm gonna go from SEC Player of the Year to like highlighting like a guy that is just starting to get minutes. How about Isaiah Brown starting to be a force for this team? You know how sometimes you just watch a player and he's like, man, that guy just doesn't make too many mistakes. He's just a winner. You just get the feeling like, this guy's just going to help winning. That's the feeling I get from Isaiah Brown. I'm like, get him on the court. I love when Isaiah Brown's out there. He's just all over the place, playing hard. That's what they didn't have in the non-conference. They didn't have that backcourt juice other than if Irby Clabjar came on and hit a few threes, which he also did in this game. I thought this was one of the best bench support games in the backcourt for Florida. But Blake, LSU, they might be 1-5 in the league and not trending towards making the NCAA tournament anymore. But this is extremely impressive given the way that LSU had been able to physically kind of bully teams or have a team that normally physically bully teams and they run into LSU and they don't have that advantage anymore. That was not the case. And Deaton Thomas, like you said, only plays 17 minutes in his return. But more importantly, that was his lowest O rating of his career, folks. He played 2 full seasons at UNLV and then 14 games with LSU. That was his least efficient offensive performance of his career. That's how good the Florida defense was. That's how good Boogie was on him. That was, I know it was LSU, but given the circumstances, that was extremely impressive.
Yeah, I did not think LSU played that bad. I think it just speaks to how good Florida is right now.
Yep.
And I really think that's the story, is that, I mean, that's just how good they are. And, I don't know if Florida wins back-to-back national championships, but right now I can't say there's a handful of teams out there that I would even come close to picking to beat Florida at this moment in a one-on-one survive and advance setting based on how they're playing. That's how well things are clicking right now for them. And we knew it was we knew it was going to happen at some point. This was a team that I know lost some games in the non-conference, but we just kept saying, look at how they're losing. They're not losing to where they're making you question their entire, setup. It was just one little thing here, one little thing there, and now you've got all those things coming together. Whether it's Lee playing better, Boogie's playing better, Clabjar off the bench, you've got Reuben, looks like maybe the best player in the SEC. I mean, he's just that's how good he's been. And so, most impactful player, if you guys want me to, I'm not knocking LeBaron Philon and Darius Acuff and all those guys, but again, just the impact he has on a possession-by-possession basis in so many areas. And then they got Sir Tommy, they got Condon. It's just, my goodness. So, Florida's just they're a machine right now. And Ken Palm's updated their SEC projection to be 14-4. It could happen, but I just don't even know right now. I don't know that they're getting to 4 losses. I really am not sure about that based on the way they're playing. So let's see.
Trying to see where Reuben is in Evan Mia's player ratings. But it looks like there must be something wrong with the system. They haven't caught up to Big Reuben in what he's been doing lately. When you filter Florida for the full season, their 3-point shooting percentage is 28.6%, but only SEC play 29.7. Blake, we are one nice 3-point shooting game away from the Gators breaking that 30% threshold. So right when you think you can say, yeah, but every SEC team has a flaw. Every SEC team has a flaw. Florida still struggles with the outside shot, but it's been better lately. They aren't taking as many. The last 3 games, they haven't gotten over 30 3-point attempts. And the past 2 games, 9 for 24, 37.5%, 9 for 27, 33.3%. I think it was Coach Calipari that was saying something about how important playing with confidence is. No, I think it was Lamont Paris. Lamont Paris was saying in his post game just how important it is for players to play with confidence. And you get the feeling right now that Florida's backcourt, perimeter-wise, is as confident as they've been all season.
Yep. Florida's upcoming schedule, they play Auburn on Saturday in Gainesville. That's a game that will be played. I feel confident about that. Then they go to South Carolina next Wednesday before hosting Alabama on pre-Super Bowl Sunday on February 1. So
The Sunday
the
slate.
only Sunday game of the year in the SEC, I'm pretty sure. So, yes, that'll be your featured game on February 1st in between the 2 conference championship games and the Super Bowl in the NFL. So, meanwhile, for LSU, if they're going to get back on track, well, they got to go win in Arkansas on Saturday. I'm not as confident as that game gets played, but we'll find out. Weatherman here. I'm not sure. We'll see how the models trend. Weather update coming on the 5s, folks. I'll give you the next weather update on the 5s.
EJ.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true.
30%. That's all we need. 30%.
That's all you need. Yes, but after that, LSU is going to host Mississippi State after that before going to South Carolina. So I just think the 1-5 start is not ideal for LSU. And
moving forward for LSU here, now that you have Deaton Thomas back, is this kind of just okay, wipe this game out? It was a Gators game. You got Gatored. That might be a new thing. You got Gatored. Okay, we got our point guard back. We're not that bad in the net rankings. We're not that bad in the analytics. We're 1 or 2 quad 1 wins away from having an analytical profile of a tournament team here. Let's reset ourselves. Do you think that there's anything to that for LSU, or do you think this is kind of going to be a sign of things to come here and it's just going to be too little too late?
I just think it being 1-5, and I'm looking at their upcoming schedule, they've got some opportunity after Arkansas on Saturday. Next week's their big week. They've got to win both those games next week.
Yep.
If you're 3-6, that's manageable the rest of the way. But then it's like, home games against Georgia, Arkansas, at Tennessee, Texas, home against Alabama. The latter part of their schedule, they've got a little opportunity maybe, but I just think, again, the magic number you got to get to is at least 8, and finding 7 more wins somewhere seems tough.
Well, I think like you said, the Arkansas game on the road on Saturday, they're going to be probably near a double-digit underdog in that game. That's going to be a tough task. But then the 4 games after that, I think, define LSU's season and honestly defines the SEC's chance at getting another team into the tournament here. Home against Mississippi State, at South Carolina, then the week off, home against Georgia, home against Arkansas. Home against Georgia, home against Arkansas, not going to be easy whatsoever, but we have seen LSU at home play pretty well. At South Carolina, home against Mississippi State, 2 winnable games. If they drop to 1-6, but then win the next 4, you're looking at a 5-6, 5-6 LSU team going into mid-February with analytics of a bubble team. That's gonna make or break the season right there. If you want to get 10 teams in, LSU is gonna have to be one of those 10, I think.
Yeah. All right, we're going to speed up a little bit. I just realized we're 35 minutes in and we talked about 2 games so far.
Oh, good games.
We're gonna speed up a little bit here. Okay, Happy Face Coffee's here with the $2 super chat, so we're going to go to this one next. Happy Howdies. Said it yesterday. Said Auburn wasn't going to lose another game this year. Don't want anybody to gain another yard, Max Barr. Auburn 2 in a row now. Beat South Carolina. Won at Ole Miss last night by 12. That was one that was kind of tricky, we said, based on how Ole Miss had been played. But shout out to the Tigers, who go in and get the victory. Go 2 of 17 from 3 and still win by double digits. You'll take that any day of the week. Got to the free throw line 39 times in this game. 39. 32 of 39 from the line. Won the battle on the boards. Pretty much won the battle everywhere. Felt like shot up almost 60% from 2. Hall for 19. Pettiford for 17. Of course, it's a hot Pettiford on the road. Murphy, 16. What a performance for Auburn, I thought. Again, based on what we had seen from Ole Miss. And yeah, Auburn comes out, plays really well, and just kind of dictated the way this game played out. I mean, they pretty much were kind of controlling this thing, and not easy to do on the road in the SEC, as we've talked about elsewhere.
Auburn is 4 of 36 from 3 in their last 2 games. Combined 11%, 4 of 36 run here from 3. The game before that was 6 of 21, 28%. They did drop that game on the road, but Blake, how many teams do you think in this league? Now, it might have been against South Carolina and Ole Miss, not 2 of the top teams, but no game in this league is easy. How many teams can go 4 of 36 over a 2-game stretch for 11% from 3 and go 2-0, no matter who the opponent is? I mean, that is crazy. Think if they were just hitting a few shots, they'd be doing themselves a big favor in the analytics, outperforming projections. But you're finding other ways to get it done. And Deacon, I'm not trashing the 3-point shooting. I'm emphasizing how his team can win in multiple ways. Not everything.
Like, what
has
are
to
we
be
doing here?
here.
Come on. Deacon, you've watched this channel long enough. We're not going to sit here and say everything's perfect. If they don't shoot it well, we're going to bring it up. If they don't play defense well, we're going to bring it up. Like, we're not knocking Auburn. They just won by 12 on the road. Come on, folks. What are we doing here?
What are you guys doing?
Goodness
trying
gracious.
to emphasize how good this team could be if a few of those shots, if a little bit of the 3-point variance comes back in the other direction. Jeez. And as for the defense, it has looked a lot better. This rotation's been tightened down. There was a little thing, I'm trying to find it right now, with Kevin Overton. I believe Stephen Pearl said he might have been. Oh, yes, that's what it was. I wish I had time this morning to get the clip of the interview. But Stephen Pearl had referenced The Simpsons and their, 0 days without nonsense happening or something like that. And he said that's a running joke inside the Auburn team because they can't go too many days without something happening. I think this past week it was Overton was late for a meeting, so Overton gets benched. And they still go out and beat an Ole Miss team that's hot and score 50 points in the second half and win by 12. If this team can just tighten up a little bit, and fix some of those mistakes. I think it was another Pearl quote. I think it was talking about Tahad Pettiford's, how they track the defensive mistakes, and how he's been responding. Pearl's liked how he's responded. So, I mean, for Ole Miss moving forward, Blake, is this just our wild card team that we just have no clue what to expect from? I can't get a tab on this team.
It's one game. Because they had been playing really well. They had won some close games where, again, like you could play it out 100 times. Sure, they probably lose some of them, but they didn't. They won 3 in a row. And, Auburn, we've said the thing with them has just simply been, and this was the first time, like, think about this, since, St. John's? Where you actually kind of looked at it and said, okay, on the road, They put together what felt like a pretty complete performance, and we just hadn't seen that consistently from them. And, we can sit back and say, well, that had been the case for a lot of other SEC teams too. Yep, sure, great. But if you're trying to be one of the best teams in the league, these are the kind of games that you go out and win. Yep. And so far, like we said, they had lost the game by 10 at Missouri. That felt like a winnable one. You come out a little disappointed there. You probably were not completely thrilled. Even Stephen Pearl said you weren't completely thrilled with the South Carolina performance, but they won it in a different way. And I do think they used some of that to now come out and prove, okay, we can go win on the road against what had been one of the hottest teams in the SEC. And so I think that's it, right? Like we said with Auburn, very rarely do you feel like you're going to look at Auburn and just be like, you know what? They just can't score. Like, they're going to usually string together enough to give themselves a chance. It just, again, the defensive numbers were what they were. But now when you look at these last couple games, even going back to the Arkansas game, right? You give up 73, 67, 66. Like, that's 3 of your last 4. And so, hey, if you do that more, I mean, that's the sample size. We'll get to the Bettyako thing, guys. We're going to try to get through this because this show will be an hour and a half long if we stop now and get to Bettyako. We got to get through the games last night. We'll get to Bettyako in a minute. But I think that's the thing for Auburn is now you've proven you can put it together on the road, play well defensively, and have a pretty, that's one of the nicer wins, I think, in the SEC this year on the road just based on the quality of the opponent and how well Ole Miss had been playing. So
I've got to recollect myself after the news just broke. Yeah. Well, my brain is scrambled right now, Blake. I am sorry.
That's fine. I'm trying to keep us efficient here because we might go 2 hours today, if not. So we will we'll get into the Bettyako thing shortly, folks. But here's what happens, right? If we don't keep going through these games, we're going to shortchange somebody, and we're going to hear about it. So we're going to stay on task here. We're going to talk about Auburn getting the win. Upcoming schedule for Auburn: they're at Florida on Saturday, home against Texas next week. Then they go to Tennessee, home against Alabama, home against Vanderbilt, at Arkansas. What a slate coming up for the Tigers. 2-0 in the last 2 games. One game at a time, Max Barr. One game at a time.
One game at a time is right. And now for Auburn, I'm trying to of course my browser doesn't want to load right when I need it, but I'm trying to find Auburn's new there it is. All right, yeah, percentage to make the tournament now up to 80% from yesterday. So that's a big time win. People might write it off as just Ole Miss. Auburn always beats Ole Miss. For the tournament resume, that thing is huge. What was Auburn yesterday in our bracketology? An 8 seed, were they? They were something close to 10.
Somewhere in there. Yeah.
Somewhere in there. You lose that, you go to Ole Miss and lose that game. You're looking at a 8-9 projection, just, playing Michigan round 2. Just, you don't want that. That's a huge win tournament resume wise to go on the road and grab a win. There's not many teams going on the road and grabbing wins nowadays.
No, there's not. So there you go. Auburn picks up another one, like we said. Still a pretty brutal upcoming schedule. Probably one of the tougher ones in the SEC, but right now, to get back to 3-3 when you were sitting there at 1-3 was crucial for this team. And remember, I keep saying it, the strength of schedule for Auburn is going to do a lot of the work for them. They don't have to be perfect the rest of the way. They don't have to be 12-6. Like, they're still going to have a chance to get a pretty good seed just on the basis of their strength of schedule, especially if they can navigate these next 3 weeks. And, you're probably going to drop some games somewhere, but if you can just kind of balance that out, you're going to have plenty of quality win opportunities. So, I think Auburn's going to be just fine. Ole Miss's upcoming schedule at Kentucky. Ooh, yikes. At Kentucky, home against Vanderbilt, at Tennessee, at Texas, home against Alabama. So that's a pretty tough 5-game stretch, too, coming up for the Rebels. But there's that. All right, we got to keep moving here. Georgia wins at Missouri. I thought was the best game of the night. 74-72. Tremendous game. I probably watched this more than any other game on the slate. And it seemed like every single time Missouri was about to try to push this thing out a little bit, Georgia would hit a big 3. They'd get a big defensive play, and that just allowed them right there at the end, of course. They get to play. Was it Missouri went up 72-71? Georgia gets what was the play? Was it an and one? I don't remember what it was. But Georgia scores on the out of bounds, takes the lead. Missouri got a shot at it with Jacob Cruz, came up just a tad bit short. And yeah, it was a great game here between these two and a huge win for Georgia, based on the fact that, remember, this was a team that was just coming off a 14-point home win against Arkansas. Felt like they gave one away against Ole Miss the game before. Now they've turned that into back-to-back quality, solid, very good victories here.
Yeah, this was game of the night in terms of just entertainment value. This one was 74-72, but there was a pace to it. You know, not a ton of shot making, but there was a good pace to this game, like there is with most Georgia games nowadays. The Georgia is kind of entering. Oh, I got to be careful with this take. They're kind of entering like an Alabama-esque territory with their playmaking guards, where it's just like, I never count them out. They go down by 5, they go down by 6, and I'm just like, okay, they're going to be right back in it. Wilkinson, Smurf Millender, Blue Cane, someone's going to make a play, get a paint touch, kick it out to Catchings, kick it out to, whoever, and they're going to get a good shot. They're going to get a good offense. It's tough to go on a run against this Georgia team. It's tough to get 3-4 stops in a row and then score on Cyril inside. He had another 3-block game last night. It's just the way that these guards can find their own shot. I mean, Millender down the stretch there was incredible. Getting into the paint, playing controlled, playing through physicality. Sometimes he would work that pivot foot and find a little mid-range fadeaway. Sometimes he'd kick it out to an open shooter. But these guards for Georgia, combine them with the anchor of Surreal and the athleticism of guys like Catchings, Dylan James, and you got to catch them on a night where they just come out completely flat and don't play with effort. Because if this Georgia team's playing with effort and they're focused, they're as good as anyone, really. They really are.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, they're really only subpar performance, I would say, of the season overall just was kind of at Florida. But, I mean, I think we'd be saying that about anybody in the SEC right now. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, man. So different than probably I know my expectation was, because, I mean, again, I could have never probably thought they were going to be playing at such a fast pace, and that was on display last night. It seemed like when Missouri would try to just sort of slow down a little bit, didn't happen. Georgia just kept pushing the pace, kept trying to get the ball down the floor, and still, winds up as a 68-possession game, so probably, lower than you would expect for Georgia, lowest of the year, but it still felt like in those key moments, Georgia was trying to speed it up a little bit, put some pressure on Missouri, and, yeah, like I think that was definitely something that was, evident in this game, and, to me, it's like, again, a team that feels like it's faced some adversity this year, has had some kind of close calls at times, but just look at how they executed late in the game to find a way to win. I think that's Mike White putting them in a position, and the guys just simply executing. Yes, they hit some big shots, but they executed the game plan down the stretch. And I just think they're such a well-prepared team.
Yeah.
And I know Florida fans may push back on some of that, but just based on when he was there. But I don't know, man. He's put this team in a position where, again, when you look at the little things and like the situational stuff, like they're always right there with a plan. They always seem to execute very well. I know they lost the game in overtime against Ole Miss, but even in that game, right, that's just sort of like a defensive lapse there a little bit at the end. But, man, they are. I mean, Georgia's playing really well. And, again, you look at their upcoming schedule at Texas, Tennessee, A&M, at LSU, Florida. They've got a chance to keep reeling off some wins here. That's a big game on Saturday at Texas. And so, yeah, I think Georgia Torvik percentage to make the tournament, I've got to believe is
98.
Yeah, I was going to say it's got to be getting close to 100. And I know that may sound silly to some people, but it shouldn't be because right now they're 24th in the net. They moved up 3 spots again there. So, yeah, Georgia's
top 25 in the net.
Yeah, they're up to 24 now. So, yep.
All right. Yeah. I mean, hey, if we're having a conversation about best backcourt in the SEC, there's an argument for a few different teams, but Georgia's absolutely got to be in there. Absolutely has to, with the way that these guys are playing. And you're not even getting too much from Jordan Ross or Justin Bailey off the bench right now, which they are capable of. So yeah, I mean, hey, people were kind of looking ahead to that Florida game on February 11th for Georgia. It's going to be a home game. The 4 games leading up to that game are at Texas on Saturday. Give me a tricky one. Give me a tough one. Probably about to pick them. Another pick. What do you know? Another pick 'em in the SEC here. That'll be on Saturday. And then you get the 2 home games, Tennessee and A&M, and at LSU. Tough, but not too far-fetched to say Georgia could go 4-0 here over the next 4. The biggest underdog they'll be is maybe a point, maybe 2.
Well, and quickly, because again, we've got to keep rolling along here. We still got another game to talk about. For Missouri, I just think that's kind of the game last night that's going to wind up, if you're looking back and you're out of the tournament, you're looking at this game right here. There's a couple choices to choose from, but you're probably looking at this one and feeling like, my goodness, we were right there and should have won this game. They're down to 70 in the net. They dropped 3 spots, and it's just kind of one now where it seems like every time Missouri has an opportunity to start to push away from the bubble a little bit and get on the right side and stay there for a little while, you lose the game at LSU, then you wind up losing the game at home by 2. And I mean, Missouri had been very good at home this year. We talked about that. Had wins over Auburn, Florida, and so forth. And so, yeah, now they got to figure out a way to turn this around. And their upcoming schedule is going to give them opportunity. Home games against Oklahoma, Mississippi State. Road game in Alabama is going to be really tough. And then they're at South Carolina after that. So, to be honest with you, Missouri's got to go 3-1 in these next 4 games. I think to feel like they are sitting in a good position, because their schedule down the stretch gets a little tricky. But you got to start winning some games somewhere. Their strength of schedule is not good enough. Over their non-conference strength of schedule, as we said, just is not helping them. And when you start, losing some games you probably shouldn't, like the one at LSU, even the one at Ole Miss, you're kind of in a tough spot. So
got to get Ant Robinson going. Got to get him going.
All right, quickly for this one. It's probably like the least high-profile game of the night. South Carolina 85, Oklahoma 76. And, yeah, big win for South Carolina. You and I picked the Gamecocks, and we just felt like they were a much more confident choice than the way Oklahoma's been playing right now. And what do you know? Like, Oklahoma never led in this game, not a single second. South Carolina was up 14, a little over midway through the first half, and got a really balanced performance. Meechie Johnson with 20, Kobe Knox had 18, Strong had 17. This was, I thought, a very impressive thing for South Carolina. I mean, even scoring like 85 points, I'm like, hey, for South Carolina, you'll take that, especially against, again, what had been one of the worst defensive teams in the SEC. And remember, the Gamecocks have still played without Eli Ellis the past couple games. So, yeah, man, I think South Carolina, I think we can have 2 things be true here. Oklahoma is not very good right now. But I think we can also say that I still think South Carolina might wind up spoiling the party for a couple of teams that are kind of trying to either, seed-wise or get in the tournament or anything like that, because they're right there, man, and they've been right there, except for that Arkansas game on the road, which we see what Arkansas can do to teams in Bud Walton. So, yeah, nice win for South Carolina.
Yeah, Lamont Paris, I think he did like almost 20 minutes of a post-game press conference. It's the longest I'd seen this season from Lamont Paris. I wasn't able to watch all of it, but he did say some good stuff about the response from the team. He said that after the Arkansas game, going into the Auburn game, he said he doesn't normally do this, but he told his team this is the most important game of the season. Not in terms of we have to win, but in terms of what kind of team are we in terms of a response. And he said he was very impressed with the team's response. They didn't get a win against Auburn, but they were more focused. They were more disciplined. They fought harder, and he liked the response. And then that led right into that Oklahoma game. It felt like 2 teams at the bottom. We kind of had this game circled just in terms of an entertainment thing. 2 desperate teams kind of in a similar spot towards the bottom of the league standings. And it felt like 2 teams going in different directions last night. South Carolina looked like a connected team a team that knew where they wanted to go with the ball. You've got different guys playing in new strengths. Kobe Knox, Lamont Paris said about how good of a cutter he is and putting him in positions to succeed. Knox has been fantastic. Michi Johnson has quietly been averaging like 20 a game in conference play. He's been really good. We keep talking about that front court tandem of Sharab Jamps, Big Mongolian Mike, and Elijah Strong and what they do. And they didn't even have Eli Ellis in this game. South Carolina feels like a connected team. Oklahoma felt like they had no clue what they were doing out there. It felt like two different teams.
Yeah. I think that's just kind of where we're at. I mean, Oklahoma, I don't know what to say. I mean, they've lost 5 in a row. They got to go to Missouri on Saturday. And then it's like they host Arkansas, they host Texas. I mean, maybe they can win one of those. I don't know. Not convinced. I mean, they played well against Alabama at home, so maybe there's a chance. And then it's like you turn around and have to go to Kentucky and Vanderbilt after that. Then play hot team in Georgia. Then go to Tennessee. Dude, they got no margin for error here, and
None.
Their schedule is brutal. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to turn out for the Sooners, but South Carolina, again, I think is going to play spoiler here somewhere along the way. I know they're at A&M on Saturday, Florida and LSU at home. I don't know if they beat the Gators, but they can certainly, I think, beat LSU again. And then, yeah, they're going to get some of those teams that are kind of trying to fight their way back into the conversation. They get Missouri at home on February 7th. So, yeah, not wanting to see South Carolina necessarily right now.
Yep.
All right. There are all the games from Tuesday night, Wednesday night slate. You can find our predictions for that. Kentucky, Texas, Texas A&M, Mississippi State. Up on the channel, Cats are about a 6.5-point favorite against Texas. Texas A&M, 8.5-point favorite, I think, against Mississippi State. So check that out. I know Zach's been asking if we were big fans of the parlays and all that. I have not placed any parlays in SEC basketball this year. I like to go with the singles.
Yeah.
A little Arkansas money line at FanDuel yesterday was not a bad choice there, which is why, again, the line swing towards Vanderbilt. And saw the value in the Hogs. But, yeah, Zach said he had a little Auburn money line, Arkansas money line, Georgia money line, and a little SMU. That's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad, Zach.
Had to be sweating there that Georgia-Missouri game. Had to have you
That's a tough one.
sweating a little bit.
That's why I don't do the parlays. Max texts me all the time about his parlays.
Bet responsibly. Bet responsibly, folks.
Yeah, bet responsibly, FanDuel. Okay, we've got some stuff to get to here. Yes, we're going to get to the Bettyako thing. All right, let's get... Yeah, Josh, don't worry. I'm not reading the $5 one. You don't have to worry about that. You knew I wasn't going to read the $5 super chat you sent in. So, the $10 one, all right, here we go. Charles Bettyaka's back for Alabama. He wants Nate Oates Josh wants Nate Oates to play Charles Bettyako on Saturday, and then the NCAA is going to ban him from the tournament, is what Josh says. Saying it's a different situation than the Baylor thing going on. All right, let's get into it. So I will pull up the tweet here. Let me find it. Meanwhile, I'm going through Twitter here, and all I'm seeing is all the NFL notifications of how the Buffalo Bills are in disarray. But let's get to these here from Nick Kelly. I'm just going to read it. News. Charles Bettyako has been granted a temporary restraining order and is immediately eligible to participate in all Alabama basketball activities and games per court documents obtained by AL.com. This will remain in effect for 10 days or until a hearing on the motion for a preliminary injunction is conducted. Boy, I love reading that sentence on an SEC basketball live stream. A hearing is set for January 27th. So, basically, what we're saying here is that Charles Bettyako is back. For how long Charles Bettyako is back, we do not know. But the fact is, right now, he's back. And the fact that we're even talking about this is absolutely absurd.
Absurd.
I mean, it's absolutely absurd. And I know there will be Alabama fans who will be honest, and that's fine. But if the situation was flipped, and this was Auburn doing this, we all know what we'd be saying right now.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's just, we've always said, at least I've always said, I'm not going to put this on Max, but hey, coaches will continue to bring up, if this is the way it is, then you know what? I'm not always going to sit here and just blame the coaches. If there are ways that you can do this right now, then why would you blame the coaches? Like, I'm not blaming them at all. If this is something they can do, then do it. But we can still sit here and have a civil conversation about this being the current landscape and what we're looking at within the sport. And can wonder, is this sustainable long term? Because we all know the answer to that. We all know the answer to it. If it benefits our team, great. But we all know the answer if we're on the other side of this thing and we're just saying, are you kidding me? Like, what if, and I know we were joking earlier, right? But what if Florida decides on Saturday, hey, you know what? We found a loophole. And somehow we're going to go grab Walter Clayton, and that man we may just play him for Saturday. We just want to have him play the Tigers again. And then we'll just, it's all good. Now, obviously, it's an extreme. We're being funny here, but holy cow. This is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, even Alabama fans are saying, like Vibe, hate it, but it benefits my team. Brett, I don't like it, but I like it for my team. I mean, I think that's pretty normal. But, I mean, I saw who is Bettyako comment earlier. Charles Bettyako last played in the 2022-2023 college basketball season. He has not played this year. He didn't play last year. He didn't play 2 years ago. Charles Bettyako last played college basketball with Brandon Miller and Noah Clowney 3 years ago. I was a junior in college. What are we doing? This is horrible for the sport. Horrible for this. You can't bring back players that haven't played since 2022, 2023. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. It's going to make me not want to watch Alabama basketball if Charles Bettyako is playing. I mean, what are we doing here, folks?
Isn't it just like, can you just think of it like, all right, you're thinking back, and it's like you're watching Bettyako out there, and there's Javon Quinterly and, Brandon Miller and those guys, like Noah Clowney's up there in the front court. Sears was there too, right? But it's like, hell, wasn't Amari Burnett on that team too? And now it's like you're thinking this many years later, you're all of a sudden throwing him out there and you see him on the floor with LeBaron Philon, the sophomore. And I'm just thinking, are we doing those things where like in video games, you can get like the all-time team of a squad? And like, what are we going to do next? Are we going to bring out like, I don't know, who else is going to come back and play? We should do that with all the SEC teams. Like, bring back Charles. Bring back Chuck for Auburn. Get Charles's ass out there and put him on the floor to get some rebounds. I don't know. Like, Florida bringing back Chandler Parsons, says Word Up Ninja. I'd love to do that. I'd love to have an all-time SEC team draft and just combine some of these players together and see if they can play together. But you know what? We're getting it in real time now. We don't even have to do that. So, I mean, we can bring back all kind of people and put them together. Tennessee, who we put on Tennessee? Grant Williams.
Charles Bettyako was born March 10th, 2002.
Kennedy Chandler.
March 10th, 2002. So right now he's 23.
Older than I am.
And if he's playing in March Madness, you're going to have 24-year-old Charles Bettyako who hasn't played college basketball in 3 years.
Hey, LeBron's got to have some eligibility, right? He didn't play anywhere in college. He can come back and play for somebody. Put him on the Must Bus at USC. Give me LeBron with the Trojans.
Yeah, he may be younger than Baker Mazzara, but Baker Mazzara's been playing college basketball and didn't sign 3 NBA contracts. Don't try to compare the two.
That's a very extreme comparison if we're comparing with Chad Baker
Not even
Mazzara.
close.
By the way, this is kind of I'm going to bring this up. Jokes aside, I'd love to see what the data says about teams with older players. Can you imagine, like, Ken Pom, Torvik, all these guys right now that are saying, how do we quantify getting a guy back into our data who hasn't played in the sport in 3 years in college, and we got to figure out how now to adjust the analytics to where, like, we somehow assess his impact on this team for 10 days maybe. Like, not even maybe the rest of the season, for 10 days.
Do not use eligibility stuff when you forego your college eligibility to go to the NBA draft in 2023. He said, I'm done with college. I'm going to the NBA 3 years ago. And then he's not good enough to make an NBA team. So 3 years down the road, he goes, oh, I'm going to give that spring semester another chance when I'm 24. Get that out of the sport.
I'm sorry. Like, I love our chat. It's tremendous stuff. You guys are having some fun with this. But if we can't sit here and honestly take a step back and remove the bias a little bit and just be like, you know what, there's a problem here, then we're never going to get anywhere. Like, this is just absurd at this point. Like,
It's just
I'm
bad
sorry.
for the sport.
I mean, if you enjoy it, that's fine. I don't. Like, I think this is ridiculous. And I just think, like, again, this is a product of the NCAA and where we've gotten to. Like I said, we have to be serious right now. If you were, let's say, I don't know, like, again, pick any team you want, all right? And you had a game coming up on Saturday, and you're sitting there saying, well, wait a second. I just, never mind. It's just, why are we arguing this? There's no argument to be made here. I'm sorry. There's no argument to be made. I'm not arguing this. So
Charles Bettyako was he an all SEC freshman? Yeah, he was on the all SEC freshman team in 2021.
End of show. Like, what else do we say to add on to that? I don't know. I'm gonna bring up Owen's super chat from earlier, $2 super chat. Hey, this is not a knock on Owen. I enjoy Owen and I love the enthusiasm, but, like, we will agree to disagree here on just this whole situation. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, we were joking about Kennedy Chandler, Josh with $5 super chat. Like, yeah, bring it back. I mean, why not? Like I said, I'm not blaming this on Nate Oates or Alabama. No. If it's within the confines of the rules, go for it. But I think, again, it is worth having the discussion of it's just, we would all be saying the same thing if it was not, I think, for our specific team. We would I feel like we're all going to be in agreement there that it probably is not something we would like to see long term. So there you have it. Now, look, we don't know who's going to play on Saturday. No idea. But
well, yeah, he's going to have to fight with Noah Williamson for minutes. He may not even get on the floor.
I mean, Sam is going into the legal aspect of this stuff. Like, yeah, again, like, just kind of how they're going about this. Like, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know all the ins and outs on the legal process, like, of this, but it is going to be something that I think, obviously, this is going to be the biggest story in the sport. Like, if Charles Bettyako, even him being back, is the biggest story right now, but if he plays, like, it's going to be.
They were a 1 seed. I mean, he was a big reason why Alabama was a number 1 seed 3 years ago. Oh, and I was just joking about Noah Williamson.
I think he was joking, Owen. That was just a joke. Anyways, so, all right. I don't have a lot more to add here. I mean, it just kind of, it is what it is. And yeah, I mean, again, do I expect anyone to sort of to stop this thing? I don't. Yeah. So I don't know when that breaking point happens for some people. So,
You know how it's like sometimes you listen to a play-by-play or a color commentator and you're like, it doesn't even sound like he likes the sport he's commentating. Like, it doesn't even sound like he's enjoying himself out there. This is one of the things that makes me not enjoy college basketball as much. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it and try to act like college basketball is the most perfect thing in the whole world with no issues. This stuff's got to be fixed. Stop. I love this sport too much for this little garbage to go on. Figure this out, NCAA. Figure it out.
If you lose Max Barr, you're losing the battle here. So
Figure it out.
That's it. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's a great point here. We factored in your Alabama-Tennessee prediction. We have to. Can you imagine us sitting there breaking down the matchup between Charles Bettyako and, I don't know, Jalen Carey? It's wild to think about, but we got to. Like, we know Nate Oates is going to say something, so we're going to get some kind of comments here, and we'll see like how the practice stuff and all that factors in. But I don't know. So.
Oh, this is a great question from Josh. $5 super chat from Josh. If he plays, but then the NCAA rules him ineligible down the road, what happens to that game that an ineligible player played in?
Let's be honest. If it's the NCAA that's tracking this, they'll do that, and then in about 5 years, you'll get that win back. But you're not going to get it after Saturday. It'll take them about 5 years, I think. So it's not going to be an expedited process. But no, I mean, in all seriousness, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's possible.
We're going to the other side of the tracks here. This is uncharted territory.
Yeah, I don't know. So, anyways, all right. Keep weighing in on the Bettyako thing. We're going to find out. So, look, that's kind of the point here.
Yeah.
Floppy, that's the point. Like, we're not sitting here. When we say the NCAA, we're saying the NCAA for a reason. Of course they don't control any of this. Of course they don't, which is why we're having a laughing session about it. It's just like, if they did, we wouldn't be sitting in this situation. So, like I mentioned, if anything is done, it'll take 5 years. But there you have it. So, Sam's saying that he should not be eligible for road games. When does Alabama go on the road? Well, they go on the road not until Florida on February 1st. So, he's going to be fine if this is a 10-day thing, which means you've got Tennessee and Missouri at home are your next 2 games. So,
you know what we have to do now? We have to go back to we have to go 3 years back to 2022-23, and we have to run through the SEC rosters to see if there's any potential 24-year-olds out there that have a semester of eligibility left. Redo our power rankings.
Oh my gosh, do you want to know the greatest thing I've ever seen? Here it is. Oh my goodness, this is about the most perfect thing I could ever think of. All right, everyone, sit back, sit down, make sure you're listening here. Okay. I went to Charles Bettyako for 2023. All right. The KenPom player comps for Charles Bettyako.
I haven't seen them.
This is the greatest thing ever. The 2 leading KenPom player comps for one Charles Bettyako. A 2024 Felix Okpara and a 2024 Micah Hanlockton. Bettyaka's final year of college, well, until now, was compared to 2 current SEC centers who also feel like they've been playing forever. But incredible. There you have it. We could get those matchups. We're going to get one of them on Saturday.
This is crazy. This is
By the way,
crazy.
I want to also make it very clear. I'm not knocking Charles Bettyako. All right?
No.
I'm not knocking the player.
This is an institutional problem.
The scenario is just what's...
This is it right here. This summarizes it. What the hell alternate universe is this?
Gosh.
2026.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
Yeah. Well, imagine taking this argument to social media. I will not. There you go. An extended edition of the show. before the snowpocalypse hits in a couple days.
Or ice.
What if Alabama's game gets canceled on Saturday and the snow just, and all of a sudden the 10 days Alabama doesn't play? I don't know. It's just a lot. So, I don't know. Look, Sam, I don't know if Charles himself was the one that filed this. But, I mean, give an opportunity. I don't know. So, anyways, we're out of here. Thanks for all the super chats. Thanks for the discussion. A long time ago, we actually discussed Arkansas's big win over Vanderbilt. That feels like 2 days ago at this point.
Welcome to the league.
Be safe. Stay warm. Hope for snow and not ice. So let's hope for that. Hopefully there are games being played this weekend. That's all I'm going to say. So
We got 2 games tonight.
Oh, yeah. I forgot there are games tonight. Boy, this is incredible. There's 2 games tonight. I don't know when we're going to react to them. We may do it tonight. We may do it tomorrow morning. Don't forget, predictions live tomorrow morning as well. We'll have that. Let me drop the link to the membership. I don't think I've done that today. Let me drop that in here real quick. And here we go. You know what, Sam? Blake Bar, we were going to do it today, but I've made a swap. You know when I think we're going to do it now? We're going to do it on Friday, and we may even do like a marathon on Friday. And I'm not saying we're going to go 6 hours here. But everyone could be snowed in, and I'm just thinking, you know what?
Oh, like a little snow day, video game day?
It may be a snow weekend. We may just we may finish an entire season this weekend.
Okay.
we're gonna do this on Friday, and we may just go all in on Blake Bar season 1 this weekend. So
snow day. Let's go, baby.
Yeah. All right. So that's our plan. Snow day on Friday, potentially. So, all right, we're out of here. Appreciate you guys again. We will always agree to disagree on certain things. But you guys are the best. We're not disagreeing on that. And so, yeah, appreciate you watching as always. Got some more baseball previews coming on the channel today. I think Auburn baseball previews coming up a little bit later. Check that out. More baseball previews.
Baseball.
Yeah, right around the corner. All right. Sean, next 2, we're going to plan for Friday because it seems like it's going to be a snow day. So we're going to plan Friday. We may even a little extended time on Friday with a little 2K8. So, all right. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon here at Southeastern 16 presented by FanDuel.